All right, this is Grant. I'm back again. So today we are, the topic is making beef salty again, or make beef salty again. That's my mantra. I'm gonna go with this. But I've done a video touching on this before, but right here, I have roughly, here's the math I done, 3 ounces of the Redmond salt per head. So we have, whatever, 3 or 4 ounces times about 35. So I have the Redmond salt available, free choice. I also have it, a water trough that has a big burlap sack full of it in, and then every other day I'm treating the water with this salt, and you've seen that in the videos before. But one reason I'm doing that, we're getting close to calving, and within 30 to 40 days of calving, there is a mineral transfer between the mother and the calf. So what that does, in theory, or not in theory, it works, is when you up the mineral intake and you mineralize your cows, and your cows are very healthy, and you get that mineral transfer between the mother and the calf, you are setting that calf up to be healthier, to gain more, and to get by on less. Now, why we have to, well, I could go into this for a while, but why do we have to take multivitamins as humans? Why do we have to give our cows minerals? It's because we have stripped the land of its natural minerals through chemicals put on the pasture, through stuff like this that causes compaction and roots can't get down to absorb the minerals that are there. And the biggest thing is probably the good old disc harrow. When people first started plowing land and stuff like that with mules, you have microbes on the top and the bottom, and you have minerals throughout the soil. The microbes in the first few inches are aerobic, I believe, and they can live, if you just lightly disc, you're fine. So back in the day with mules and stuff like that, you could get away with just barely scratching the top. Now, when you go through, and I'm sorry, I know I'm moving a lot. It is freaking hot, y'all. But when you go and you disc heavily and you get up under those first few inches, you invert the anaerobic and aerobic microorganisms, and you kill them. You kill the ones that are on top. They're supposed to be on top. You kill the ones at the bottom. They're supposed to be on bottom. And when you do that, you lose a lot of your soil biology and your soil structure, to the point where you're going to lose a lot of your minerals through, basically just getting washed away. Or if you raise a cow on it and she eats all of it, and you go and sell her, that's a lot of minerals that you just took up out of the ground. So we are trying to remineralize, one, our pasture, and 2, the beef. So a lot of people, through the years, people have said, beef has kind of lost its flavor, and they say we got to feed them a whole bunch of corn and grain and stuff like that to get a lot of flavor. I don't believe that. The best steak that I've ever had was a grass-only, grass-finished cow that was about 9 years old, and nothing has compared to it since. So that's my ultimate goal, is I'm working towards. But remineralizing these cattle, one, it makes them healthier. It increases the alkalinity in their blood when they are remineralized, which is important because that makes them healthier. And the healthier they are, the less susceptible they are to flies, the less susceptible they are to parasites. Okay, so this ground, since 1770 something, my family has been here between raising cows, row cropping on all this kind of land. I'm sure the nutrients and the bricks and the grass is very low, and the minerals are very low. So when I give these cows this dry mineral, which I'll show you, it is about 30 to 40% bioavailable. That's what they think. So the cows will take in what they need, and the rest comes out the back end, and the cows are remineralizing the pasture. Now with this water, putting it in the water, they say 50 to 60, some guys even argue it's up to 80% bioavailable to the cow, remineralizing them heavily, and still passing through them and going on to the pasture. So it's a win-win. So whatever minerals that I feed right now, will go through that animal, and what she does not need will go out onto the pasture. It will go into the manure. The dung beetles will break down the manure. We've talked about that. And next year, my grass hopefully will be greener and healthier and higher in bricks. And higher in bricks, you can Google that. There are a lot of other people on YouTube, millions of other people who can explain that better than I can, but it just essentially means healthier grass. Now, one thing you want to do, and one reason I trust the Redmond only, is you don't know what you're getting. So if you're going and buying minerals from, your local feed store or co-op or whatever you want to call it, and these minerals are, you know, even mixed on site. Chances are a lot of those ingredients come from China, and these Chinese minerals, whether from Wuhan or wherever, they're gonna have heavy metals in them, specifically cadmium and other metals that are gonna build up in your animals and make them sicker. Now, this is an entirely crazy spill, but you know, it seems where all this went wrong in the early 30s, 40s, 50s, when we started putting ammonium nitrate, we started putting all these things on our pasture. We started harrying the land with heavy equipment, and all of a sudden people were like, dang, humans need multivitamins because we're not getting the minerals we used to. Well, why is that? Well, the cows need multivitamins and minerals because they're not getting the minerals that they used to get. And so it's just been a downhill trickle from there. Whoever figured out the whole we can sell a multivitamin to humans, they really found a niche market, and they're going to continue selling them until we start doing stuff a lot differently. But yeah, so we're going to go put these minerals out. I have some in the water available at all times, and then this, I have it free choice and a mineral feeder, and then I also am putting it in their main water trough every other day to really drive home them eating those minerals. Now, and there's another item that we used not long ago. I'm gonna do a completely different video on it, but as of right now, we're trying to remineralize these cattle. We're trying to remineralize the ground, and we're trying to get our animals as healthy as possible. And another great thing about it, this stuff is cheap. This stuff is much cheaper than your Purina Wind and Rain, whatever, IGR mineral that's $35 a bag. This stuff, I mean, for a 50-pound bag of this stuff, I think it's like $8 for 50 pounds. Now that'll last me a while. I think my whole mineral budget for the year is just under $200 something, which to me is insane. As far as, you know, being fairly cheap. Now let's go out here in the pasture. I'm gonna show you me putting this in that water tank. I'm gonna show you the other reserve tank that I have, and I'm gonna show you the free choice. But I'm gonna do another video talking about minerals and stuff like that. It's gonna be a longer, more in-depth video. I'll probably have different bullet points and sit down and talk about it. But yeah, so if you can get you some natural sea salt, whether it's the C90 or the Redmonds, whichever one you can locate, try to get it out, get it on your animals. I promise you won't regret it. This stuff, we'll go into the conversation earlier, but there's a lot of different benefits on top of supposedly, well, not supposedly, everybody who's tried it says so, but it adds flavor to your beef. It adds minerals and salt. It's kind of like eating crab legs. You know how, notice how crab legs, wild-caught crab legs, have that natural salty taste? I think well-mineralized beef would be fairly similar, but let's go check it out. We're gonna put some more out, and I'll show you the setup. Right. So there is roughly the 3 ounces per head of 33 animals. So we put it in the burlap bag, and this is the treatment that we're doing every other day to make sure that we are getting some. So we have this tank, this is our primary tank, and I have a secondary one that has a lot more minerals in it, a lot more, and that's been out there for about 2 weeks now. I think I probably put 20 pounds in it. This is available constantly. So we have this, and we have another, just a trough, one of the 3 compartment troughs that I keep the minerals in. Some of it's just dry, some of I put them glasses in to try and entice them to eat more, because like I said, you know, this stuff is very cheap and they can't eat too much of it. The only dangers would be, you know, at some point your animals are going to need fresh water. So on top of keeping the trough nice and clean, and you also, when you pull this out, you want to make sure you pull it out as slowly as you can, and then when you get to the edge, you pull it on out, because you don't want the minerals that are left over, not minerals but the waste, I don't know what it is, I can't remember why, but like the little bit that's left over is not ideal. I don't know if it's too much salt or too much whatever, but you don't want a cloud building up in your tank. So when you do this every other day, it's going to take some figuring. I've got a cup that I've got measured, and I know, you know, depending on the time of year, how hot the water is, how cold the water is, how much to put in there. But when you pull it out, when I come back tomorrow, after this is set for about 12 hours, I want about 10% left of what I put in there. If you're getting 10 to 15, 20%, you're hitting it about right. So if you want to remineralize your cattle, if you want to get your cows healthier and improve the next calf crop, get you some salt, some natural sea salt. Quit feeding crap from China, and it's shocking how many of your worries and troubles will just start fading away. But yeah, get you some salt, get it out, and y'all follow us and subscribe and like and comment. if you got any tricks or what you're doing. Another project tomorrow we're doing, and I'm gonna video it, is something I'm really excited about. Probably the most excited I've been about any project I've started as far as improving the land. But yeah, so I enjoyed it, and we'll see y'all next time.